A shocking YouTube video that shows a Plainfield man speeding with his young daughter in the front seat leads to an arrest for street racing and child endangerment. Look at him go. Paul Powell posted a wide range of his street racing videos to his YouTube channel called Family Cruisin. Plainfield police specifically cited social media prompting their investigation back in mid-August. That investigation looked into criminal activity related to the dangerous operation of motor vehicles. Powell now faces 15 charges of street racing in addition to the child endangerment charge. Those YouTube videos also led to the arrests of Timothy Hagan, Stephen Friedenhagen, and Joseph Lucas, all on street racing charges. Plainfield police have issued arrest warrants for 3 others.
How's it going? James, Online Car Show. Well, I'm sure a lot of y'all remember Paul Powell and Family Cruisin. I personally watched a lot of his videos, and you remember the news clip that I showed at the beginning of the intro of this video. And if you're like me, you're curious, what happened to Paul. And I'm going to go through that, give you all a timeline and breakdown. But before we get too far into that, I just want to ask everybody to please hit that like and subscribe below. And if there's any more information I missed, or if you want to leave a comment about the video, please do so. I try to answer every comment that's left on my videos. All right, well, we all remember Paul's videos with Family Cruisin. He had a Hellcat, I think is kind of the video timeline that made him so famous. Purple Hellcat. And in that time period, he posted videos about modding the Hellcat, doing burnouts, pulls, Mexico racing. There was a time he posted some videos of his daughter in the car racing, as y'all see in the news clip, and that's kind of about the time that I unsubscribed from him. And that's just for personal feelings. If you feel differently, please share with us. But us as YouTube creators, kind of have an obligation to everybody to set an example and stuff. And me being a father personally, I don't think that that's setting a good example. Yeah, I mean, the daughter was safe the whole time, enjoying the ride or whatnot, but then somebody else on another channel does it, and that may not be the same situation. That's kind of how I feel about that. And once we get past that, let's get to the video. So to go over the timeline, he started his channel March 2016 with the Hellcat. Paul did some things, and us as YouTube creators and car YouTube channels have to worry about street racing and Mexico racing and posting videos of illegal activity in general. And it can come back to you, and this shows that that can and will happen if you leave enough tracks and evidence behind you. So it's either best just to not post them, or if you do, be like some of the other channels and try to cover up anything that can be used against you, like you see in a video here. So to start the timeline, he's posting videos, racing videos, videos with his kid. And at one time, I don't know if it was a live stream or a video, but he had offered $100 to do a burnout if people made a donation to his channel and his cause. Or if you gave $200, he would do the burnout in front of a police station. So in some ways, Paul was kind of egging this on, some might argue. And another thing happened shortly after all the racing videos and so forth is his Hellcat caught fire. And I'm going to show you all the video here of that, and it was just atrocious fire. I'm not sure exactly, I wasn't able to research, and I didn't look too far into it about what caused the accident, but some kind of mechanical failure that led to a fire. I don't know if Paul pointed the finger, if his viewers pointed the finger. Somehow the finger got pointed back to the Dodge dealership, and supposedly their reviews on websites and stuff like that just sunk to the bottom because all his viewers or whatnot were allegedly going out and writing bad reviews about the dealership because of the Hellcat fire. So I don't know how much of that is true, but that's what the rumor is. So a lot of people are saying because he got arrested shortly after all that was taking place, that the dealership is somehow at fault and may have, you know, made some phone calls to the police or whatnot, or whatever the situation may be. I don't know if there's anything supporting that either way. I mean, that's just kind of the way the timeline worked out. What people are figuring happened. If it did or not, who knows? So what happened in the arrest timeline? Well, Paul was arrested along with 3 others, I believe, and charged. Paul was personally charged with 15 counts of street racing and also child endangerment.
Damn!
The street racing alone carries a 1-year jail term plus $2,500 fine for each instance. This is 15 instances, which is a lot of money in 15 years in jail, which is not good. Plus the child endangerment, which could be used to possibly CPS, who knows, to even, you know, go the route of trying to take his child from him. None of that was ever brought up, but you got to think in the background that these are some of the tactics that, you know, the prosecuting attorneys and whoever was on the other side of this was saying to him and so forth. His bond was crazy. To bail him out, his bond was set at $500,000. I heard from one source, and another source I heard $400,000. That's a crap load of money for street racing. So his bond was way up there. And I heard later on it may have been lowered to $150,000 in the end, which is at least doable if you get a bail bondsman. I'm not sure. I don't believe you have to pay the entire amount as long as you show up in court. Sometime during the period of him being in jail, I don't know if somebody else did it for him or how it all worked out, but his channel seems to still be on YouTube, but none of his videos are there. It's like somebody went through and just hit delete on every video he had. So if you actually search for him in YouTube, you will come up with his channel, but there aren't any videos there. I'm guessing this was done, you know, by Paul or Family Cruisin in an effort to get rid of any evidence that could be used against them or whatnot as this, you know, progressed toward court. So after, you know, sometime shortly after that, I'm not sure how long the time took place and how long he was actually in jail. I'm sure he was there for some period of time. One of the things that happened after the Hellcat burned up is Paul bought a Dodge Viper that was just gorgeous. I believe it was a red Dodge Viper. And I love the Vipers. They're gorgeous cars. But he bought this car, and then shortly after getting out of jail, to raise money, of course, he's going to need lawyers. He's got court, all kinds of fees coming up, attorney fees. So he sells the Viper and I believe 2 other cars I saw on a live stream that was posted in effort to get back, you know, money he can put to his lawyers and so forth. He did do a live stream in this time period, actually a couple different interviews with different channels. And in these videos, he states that he's still coming back to YouTube. He wants to maybe not do as much racing videos and change it up a little bit and just do live streams with other channels and so forth. So when he got out of jail and his first out, he comes back to YouTube, but not in the same, you know, way. He comes back just doing live streams and so forth with other channels. And in this same time period, he basically, that's where he announced in one of the videos that he was selling the Viper as well as 2 other cars in an effort to raise money. Paul also started a GoFundMe account, I believe you can search for, you know, an effort to raise money for legal expenses and all the expenses that are going to occur to him. He is the sole provider for a family. So he's got kids and a wife and so forth that depend on him for financial stability. And in this time period that he's gone to jail, he's been arrested, Paul also loses his job because of the negative publicity, he states in a live stream, and just, you know, and he got arrested and so forth. So he got fired on top of everything else.
You're fired.
And then all of a sudden, and this is where it kind of goes dead on YouTube except for a video too, what actually happened after that. And that's kind of where I was stuck. You know, I heard all this news of all this stuff that's transpired, Paul's coming back, you know, family cruising, it's, you know, he's been to jail, he's out, and then court happens, and it just seems to just go dead quiet. There's nothing. And Paul later announces, as I found in some other channels and searched on Google's, he announces that he's no longer doing silly and stupid YouTube videos. And also in previous live streams, he stated all of his old videos are going to come back under SRT Mush's channel, but I haven't seen him under SRT Mush's channel. Maybe I'm wrong in that. Follow SRT Mush, and I don't see any of his videos posted, or I haven't remembered any. So, you know, he goes to court, and in this we find little tidbits here and there, if you do some, you know, Google searching of what actually transpired in that time period. He goes to court, and you got to remember this is a, you know, a sole provider for a family with a wife. He's the one person, you know, that's supporting all them financially. All this legal stuff's going on. You know, they've got 15 counts of street racing against them, which adds up to almost $40,000 in fines, plus up to 15 years in prison, which I'm sure they're going to slap some of them on them to set an example for the other YouTubers and stuff. So when stuff like this happens, usually the first guy to get busted is going to get the worst sentence, because they want to set an example to everybody else. That's the way our legal system sometimes works. So I'm sure Paul was really scared about all that. Plus he had the child endangerment on top of everything else, and that's probably the worst of all the stuff that he was charged with, which could threaten to come back and, you know, damage, you know, his ability to be the, you know, sole custodian of his child and so forth, and that's not good. So he had all this stuff over him. I can't imagine what that would be like as a fellow YouTuber and as a father, of what Paul was going through, and the stress it must have been bringing him and his family. So in this time period, he announces that he's willing to come out and testify against the other three street racers in effort to lower his sentence. So that right there, you know, and he announces this from his legal team. This isn't something that was announced in court or something. This actually came from Paul's legal team offering this publicly.
You think I'm a fucking rat?
How many times I have you into my own house?
Twice a week at least.
Yeah, there it is, at least. If you're a rat,
he came out and said basically that he would rat him out. So yes, you know, this isn't clickbait, anything like that. Paul actually did offer to rat them out or ratted them out. I haven't found the exact situation on what happened there, but in effort to lower his sentence and possibly maybe get the child endangerment charge lifted, so he is a rat. Let's take a step back and put ourselves in Paul's position before we sit there and just point him as a rat. Let's think of it from this, you know, standpoint of being a father, being the sole provider to a family that isn't going to have any way to get income, a source of income, and the huge financial burden all this is going to put on them as well. I don't really think Paul is to blame as much as more, you know, the legal system for going at him so hard. I think that's the only person you can truly blame in this, unfortunately. Is Paul a rat? Is this a bad thing? You know, what would you do in this situation? That's what I'd like to see in comments, is what would you do? What's your situation? Are you a father? Are you another YouTuber? Do you think what Paul was doing was right? I mean, I know what right is, and that was to never post the videos in the first place, and I'm sure we're all thinking that, but that's already been said, that's already been done, nothing you can do now. So do you blame Paul for what he's done? So I'm going to wrap it up with that. I appreciate y'all watching my videos. Thank you so much. Please make sure you hit that like and subscribe below, and we'll see you next week.